Hey guys, it's Tamara coming back at you with another video. Welcome back to my channel. I took a little bit of time throughout my day to take a break, to eat something, relax, and thankfully my migraine has slowed down. Thank God for my mommy, because she is the one who recommended, I'm gonna bring this close because this was a miracle, okay? This is what she recommended, okay? This stuff right here. I honestly should be like the spokesperson for like V8 juice because it really did help me today. So I actually want to get us into working on those thoughts this week. As you know, we have been talking a lot about thinking errors and a lot about cognitive distortions and how to work ourselves out of the ways that we think about things. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the concept of challenging inaccurate thoughts. I also want to give you a few tips on how to cope with some of your thoughts and some of your theories and some of the things that just get into our head and cause us to feel a certain way about ourselves and other people. So let's go ahead and get started. The benefits for you today in this video. I'm loving that V8 juice. I'm like back to my old self again. The benefits for you today in this video are right over here, and it's that we are going to talk about ways that you can possibly challenge your own inaccurate thoughts, and we're also going to talk about ways to get inside your head in a good way. So let's go ahead and get started with that, okay? I want to talk to you a little bit about, I have a video actually, I'm going to link right up here. It's a video about wise mind, and it's a DBT technique, a dialectical behavior therapy technique. You can learn a little bit about that in this video up here that I'm going to link, which I did when I was a baby in YouTube. I was just starting out back in January, and that was one of the first videos that I had completed. But you can learn a little bit more about that there. I'm not going to talk about that here. What I want to talk about today is helping you to challenge some of your inaccurate thoughts. Now, first, let me just provide some background. And let me provide a little bit of an overview of what I mean about challenging inaccurate thoughts. So inaccurate thoughts can be described as any skewed perception or any skewed thought that results from your emotions, that results from a situation at hand that you haven't given yourself time to process, or you haven't given yourself enough time to evaluate it, right? I have struggled with skewed perceptions for a very long time, and it wasn't until I started developing as a therapist and I passed the threshold of 29 years old. And once I passed that threshold, it's like, okay, you got to get a hold of your thoughts. You got to get a hold of this anxiety and all of this. And, you know, I thought, well, how can I help my clients if I can't help myself? So what's going on here? And I realized that a lot of my thoughts were based on my emotions. As I talked about in the previous video, which I'm going to link up here for you as well, emotion dysregulation is what happens when you have negative self-talk. Also, I can't think of what it's called. I want to say emotion reaction, but that's not it. I hate when that happens. That's also the downside of passing age 29. You just can't remember much. But I can't remember it. But I tend to respond with my emotions. I'm very passionate when it comes to certain things. My clients have pinpointed that in me, my family. But I also think as a woman, and I think a lot of other women, if I could speak for us as a group of women, that we tend to respond with our emotions. That's really all we know. Guys and men tend to respond with their logical thoughts. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. That's my camera timer again. So I'm going to take those notifications off, no worries. But I think men tend to reason things with their logical thoughts. They tackle it with thinking and logic and memory and rote memorization. We as women tackle it from our emotions, from what we feel and discern and what our intuition is telling us. I'm not saying that either or is wrong or right. It's just for women, we tend to get in our head and we let our negative thoughts just run amok, and we don't know how to change that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, and we're going to end and start our conversation next week. We're going to talk about some other things. So, but let's go ahead and talk about challenging inaccurate thoughts. So the way that I like to challenge inaccurate thoughts is by writing things down. Okay, that's my tip number one. When you are at a crossroads and you're dealing with a situation where you're finding it hard to make a decision, you're finding it hard to figure out which way you should go, you're finding it difficult to figure out, what decision you should make, pause. I always tell my kids and my families, pause. Some of the adults that I work with, pause. When I'm dealing with a situation where I want to react, pause, right? Pause, pause, pause. Why? Because your impulse control says, let's go, let's tackle this, let's respond, let's react, right? We don't want to do that. So what we want to do is be able to proceed with caution and wisdom and forethought and the appropriate attitude and the appropriate emotions. And the only way to do that would be to write down what's going on, right? Give yourself a little bit of a description. This is what I'm going through, and then pause. Okay, I'll give you an example of that. So let's say, for example, I keep these index cards in my office for clients so that I can demonstrate things. So I have an index card here. So let's just say, for example, and I have a pen. Let's just say, for example, that I am dealing with a client who is severely depressed and she's suicidal. This is how I would write this out to kind of help myself process where I need to be. Okay, so I'm going to put on this index card, suicidal client. Okay, so I'm going to write down suicidal client. Okay, I'm also going to write down a little small paragraph of what it is that I'm grappling with. So, okay, so suicidal client. My client is feeling depressed because of a loss of employment. Okay, that's my paragraph. My client is feeling depressed because of a loss. My client is feeling depressed and suicidal because of a loss of employment. All right. The next thing I'm going to write down is how I'm feeling. Okay. All right. So I would write something like, I am uncertain how to proceed. I'm uncertain how to proceed. Then what I do, okay, is I start problem solving. So how can I deal with this situation? Well, I can reach out to her parents. Okay, that's one option. Two, I can talk to her myself. Okay, and then three, I can document very well and call crisis team. Okay, so I've problem solved. I've given myself three potential ways out of this, right? The issue at hand is my client is suicidal. The paragraph is my client is feeling depressed and suicidal because of a loss of employment. And then my emotion is that I'm feeling uncertain because I don't know what to do. And I'm going to start problem solving now. And I'm going to throw some ideas out there, whether or not they make sense or whether or not it can really happen. So reach out to her parents. I can talk to myself. I can talk to her myself. I can document very well and call crisis team. All right. After that, I'm going to write down at the bottom how much time I'll have to actually make a decision. So I'm going to just write down something like tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow by 2 p.m. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that over here and I'm going to let it be right now. And then I'm going to go off and I'm going to see my next patient, or I'm going to go off and go do some grocery shopping. Okay. Why am I having you guys do that? Here's why. Because when you put things down on a little piece of paper like this, you're not only organizing your thoughts, your emotions, and the potential issue at hand, but you're also condensing it for yourself, okay? This is all about perception. You have to be able to change things in a way that's realistic, but change things in a way where you realize that, wow, my emotions are really exaggerating this. Remember the magnification we talked about in the first video on thoughts? If not, go back and watch it. You don't want to forget that, right? We don't want to magnify things, because when we magnify things, we end up losing touch with reality. So to put our issue on a small index card is not only to condense the problem, but it's also to condense your perspective, right? So what I ended up doing, for myself a long time ago is I monitored during a certain time of the month when my emotions would cause me to see things in a much bigger way than they really were. And I noticed that right at the second week of the month, when I'm exhausted and I'm tired, is when I tend to see things as absolutely rigid and narrow and unworkable. And that's when I have to do the next thing I want to suggest to you, which is reach out to somebody else who has more of a balanced perspective, right? You want to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I can handle this typically, but right now I'm really struggling. Can you listen to me? Can you give me some pointers? Can you give me some tips, right? I have a few people in my background that are like that, and I'm so grateful for them. That is one other thing that I encourage you to do. Now, the next thing that I encourage you to do to challenge inaccurate thoughts is this. Go back over your index card, right? Go back over the situation, give your situation a title, give your situation a paragraph, put down how you're feeling, and give yourself 3 ways that you can get out of it. And then at the bottom of that index card, go ahead and put the next time you're going to have to revisit this. What you want to learn to do is take situations that have been placed in your lap, you want to pick them up, and you want to put them over there into the next minute. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is that's going to sit, that's going to sit, that's going to sit, that's going to sit, and before you know anything, things are going to pile up on you so high that you drop in exhaustion. So whenever things are put on your lap, you want to pick that up and say, okay, I realize that this is a problem in my life right now, but do I have to figure this out at this moment? Absolutely not. That's when you want to put it over there, and then go back to it. Make sure that you schedule a time to go back to it so that it doesn't grow. But at that particular time, I want you to pause. I want you to stop, right? I want you to take a minute and think about it, write it down, condense it, change your perspective on it, right? If you don't, then things grow and they get out of control. All right. Then when that doesn't work, I want you guys to reach out to somebody else who can kind of give you that pausing moment, right? Sometimes just listening to somebody talk to us causes us to pause. Sometimes just listening to a radio show or a television show or listening to our voicemails, whatever it might be, kind of takes our mind out of that problem zone that we're in the moment, and it kind of pushes us over into the next area of our life. I can't deal with that problem right now, so I think I'm going to just deal with somebody else's issues right now. I can't deal with that problem right now. I think I'm going to go do some work, right? So I want you to get back out your index card, okay? Once you find yourself, able to cope and able to be more reasonable, I want you to take your index card and completely tear it up, all right? The issue is no longer on the table. I'm done with this issue. I'm going to make a decision. And then that's when you want to make the decision. Now, a way to challenge your inaccurate thoughts, because I haven't gotten to that yet, a way to challenge your inaccurate thoughts would be to ask yourself, am I being reasonable about this? Is there a possibility that this is true? Could there be a different approach? Could there be some kind of a way to manage this a little bit better? How would somebody else in this situation react, right? Can somebody else help me with this? Is my pride getting in the way? Can I make a decision that's best for all of us involved? Am I being narrow-minded, right? You're asking yourself all the tough questions you typically would not ask yourself. That is challenging those inaccurate thoughts. Is this true? Is this correct? If so, why? If not, why not? Am I being in denial? Am I missing something, right? Challenging your inaccurate thoughts for me, and this is what I teach my clients, is being able to talk to yourself. Being able to ask yourself those tough questions, being able to give yourself those honest answers. You can journal those answers. You can write it down on a piece of paper and answer them. Quiz yourself, right? Those are challenging any inaccurate thoughts or perceptions that you may have. All right. I feel like I'm missing one more thing that I wanted to share with you, but I can't remember it right now. Forgive me. I probably will remember it once I'm done with the video. So if I remember it, I will post it down in the description box below. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for being with me today. I encourage you to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. I also encourage you to hit the subscribe button on the side. When you do that, it pushes the video to the top of the search results in YouTube, and then that way other people can gain access to the video. So there's a reason why I ask you guys to give this video a thumbs up and also to hit the subscribe button, and I thank you in advance for that. So guys, I will see you next week with a brand new topic. Stay tuned for that because that is coming. So in the meantime, I wish you well, and I'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.